Up next, our speaker will cover the future of payments and banking for SMBs and how to get ahead in age of digital payments. Without any delay, let's welcome Mr. Prasanna Narayan, I hope I pronounced that right, COO of Ernst & Young, who will share his insightful thoughts with us.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, looks like it's turned on. Thank you. First, I wish I was the COO of Ernst & Young. If I was, then I wouldn't be here, but I'm not the CEO of Ernst & Young. I'm a founder and CEO of GigZter, which is a payments and banking for self-employed. So just as a minor correction to the announcement that was made. I know this is the odd time to have this session. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, but I'm going to divert all my energy talking to all of you. I'm hoping that more people will come back from the lunch. The goal of my session today is to really talk about SMB is small business, small and medium business. So we're focused on actually helping small businesses with payments and banking. And we're doing something very different from the traditional players who are helping those in this space. And I'll try to cover that. First, I want to also set some context and give a little bit of background about who I am. So I started this company about 2 years ago. We're about 1 year into in market as a product. My background has been in cards, payments, and banking for the last 25 plus years. I spent a good amount of time in Visa, Citibank, and also in Fiserv. And the last company was sold to Fiserv, and then I exited and I started this in March of 2021. And if any of you have used a mobile device to make a payment on any of the terminal, how many of you are familiar with Apple Pay? If you raise your hands. How many of you have used Apple Pay? So every time you use it, I play a small part in it. I worked with Apple for about 2 years in stealth mode when Apple was working from iPhone 5 to iPhone 6 to actually embed the payment aspect inside the device. And I was in Visa at that time. So that's been my background and experience based on which I actually started this journey. So what I want to set the context is before we go deep in is our experiences and your experiences when you actually hire and pay someone. So in the recent times, you must have definitely hired anyone around in your house or in your neighborhood in order to actually, avail a service. You may have used Yelp, you may have used Thumbtack. So raise your hands if you've hired a handyman recently, or a landscaper, or a piano teacher. The biggest question is, how did you actually, after you did that service, how do you actually pay them? And if you're paid with any one of these, raise your hand. Zelle, Cash App. So you're not alone by paying this. So you're actually hiring a service or a business, but yet you end up paying through a P2P method or cash or check. Shockingly, this particular instrument is still around. How many of you still write checks? Isn't that awesome? You still write checks. You still try to find where my checkbook is, and then you still write checks to make the payment. And this is Forbes telling 42% of all the small business payments that happens today. And I just want to remind, it's December 21st to 2022. Checkbooks were actually introduced somewhere in the 1940s or 50s. I don't know. I don't go back that far. But that's how far, and we're still using that in order to make payments. It's one of the oldest, archaic, complicated method in which people actually make payments. So I want to jump and say, okay, but the world has actually been advancing. The world is actually using a lot of new options. And we started the conversation with Apple Pay, which is instant, which is immediate. And it's much more slick because everybody, whether you forget to take your driver's license, you take this. It's always with you. And it empowers payment. And I've, working on this for so many years, it is just so convenient. And yet somebody asked me, can you write me a check? I was like, well, I don't know where it is. So what are the options we have, right? When you're a small business, if you're in a business and you're setting up, You have a traditional POS. So people have these card readers. So there are credit card companies that start to take card payments, which is much more easy and convenient for people to be able to accept payments. In the recent few years with Apple Pay and others coming, so there's also your credit cards or tap and pay. You don't necessarily have to insert it. You don't necessarily have to swipe it. You can just tap and pay and make those payments. Then you have wallets, and this has been around for almost a couple of decades, including Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, and PayPal. And all of those are making it easy for consumers to be able to reach their phone and actually make that payment. So these are things that every small business owner needs to be thinking about rather than accepting check-based payments. ACH, which is electronic bank-to-bank transfer. So you have ACH payments, and then people can connect their online bank account. You must have heard about Plaid. That allows you to link your bank account and move money anywhere. So that's something that small business owners should think about. And then this is what has become very popular, specifically if you're starting out and you're in a, doing things as a side hustle, using Venmo or Cash App. A lot of people are now paying rent with Venmo. And Venmo has now gotten smart, where now they're charging 2% in order to actually take business-based payments on Venmo. And obviously, everybody should have Cash App. If you don't have Cash App, your phone is pretty much empty. That's how people feel like. And Zelle, obviously, people would have known that as an instant way to actually move money without knowing your friend's bank account, and all you need is a phone number. The last one, as you can see, I don't have an example. People are looking at using crypto as a way where if you have a balance on any cryptocurrency, there are ways in which you could transfer that into a regular currency and then actually make payment. The challenge with that is it's heavily volatile and you don't know what its value is. By the time you actually load up and then you walk to the nearest Starbucks and you want to spend $3 on a latte, and sometimes your balance is not there for $3. So that's how volatile crypto is. But if you look at the rest of this, these are all options that have been evolving over time for small business and to be able to take those payments. Now, so this is where the trend is going, right? Where the future is going. So gone from the way of writing a check to a point where you're exchanging payments through a mobile device. So whether you're showing a phone and you're scanning a QR code to make the payment, or you tap your card on a little terminal or device that is sitting on the counter. Now, even if you were doing remote work and if you want to send an invoice, the best way to do that is through a text where the person can click on that invoice and actually make that payment. So just to give some statistics on how much the adoption of mobile payments, and if you're a business owner and if you're not adapting some of this technology and still relying on the old ways, you're going to be left behind. So the percentage of people using a mobile wallet, whether it's, I gave you a set of examples, and as you could see, the more later the generation is, the higher the adoption is. And there's, if I ask my son, he doesn't even know what a checkbook is or how to write a check, but he has Cash App, he has Venmo, and he exchanges funds through Apple Pay Cash and whatnot. So it's really critical to understand the amount of adoption that this is happening. And if you are in that business, help set that up. And in terms of volume, right, this is a projection of how much payment volume, meaning exchange of money, happening through these wallets. And by way of exchange, it could be a tap and pay, which is what the NFC is, or people scanning QR code to make payment, pure digital, text-based. And it's really important that people react to text as though somebody is shaking them on their shoulder. If your phone vibrates that you have a text, you have to see it. You have to know who sent it. You have to know whether I want to react it right away. So using that mechanism in order to actually send a request to actually make a payment that's due to you is actually turned around, where people are actually paying much faster than sending an email with the pay button that can potentially go into a junk mail and people don't even know that you sent one. So these are the mechanisms with which the faster exchange of payments are happening in the space. And that In 2019, that's before the pandemic, almost $650 million was done purely in this method. And you can see that trend going way up as the years go by. And COVID obviously contributed to a lot of digital payments, less use of cash. Check is still there. So now I want to shift gear a little bit and then see how we can help some of these the small businesses to make sure that they are adopting to the new technology. Now, imagine someone who is just a new business owner. They just want to start, right? They're moving away from a traditional employment and they're switching to a small business. They're opening up their own, it could be a plumber, it could be an electrician, it could be a mobile pet care, or it could be a therapist, any of them. What are the things that they have to go through, right? If you're a small business owner, the first thing is you have to go and register. You have to form a company. I wish there were more lawyers in the room who are actually helping them, and I'm not one. So the first thing is you set up a business by going through the process, opening an LLC, and then you go to your city or county, go through the registration process, get a license so that you can actually do that business. It's a one-time effort, but it's a complicated effort for people. The next thing you do is you have to go open a bank account. And this is what, if you want to open a Wells Fargo business checking account. So the first thing is you have to give you all your personal information, all your business information, tell what type of business you're doing. And then it takes about a couple of days. You can do some of it online, but then you have to go to a branch. And then they say, well, if you don't put enough money in it, you're going to, there's going to be a charge on a monthly fee. So you do that. The next thing you do is now if you want to take card payments, you have to go open what we call as a merchant account. So you end up by, opening an account with Square. Simple enough, but you still have to provide the exact same information that you did to your bank account. So you give your personal information, you give your business information, you tell what type of business, Square checks, hey, is this something that I can support? And then they let you open. If you want to accept the digital, then maybe you go sign up with PayPal. And then if you ever want to do a little bit professional, where you want to send a professional invoice and then send reminders, then you go sign up for something like QuickBooks. And then you start to pay a monthly fee on all of those. So imagine if you are a plumber, you're very good at plumbing, but you know nothing about any of these things. So it can get pretty overwhelming and hairy when you have to go through all these steps. Now, what's the challenge with, there are a lot of different services on each and every one of these things. There are lots of options, but somebody to wade through and get through this and do all the research, that's where it can get very complicated. Now, if we were to just focus on the three things, right? The banking part, the payments part, and the business tools that you need to basically run your business. The first thing is if you open a bank account, you can go to any bank, unless and otherwise you have a significant relationship and you maintain a lot of balance, you have to pay a monthly fee for the business checking. And opening a bank account does not mean that you're automatically able to take payments. You have to go open something different, even if the bank offers you one. And then you have to maintain a minimum balance if you want to waive the fee. The next, now card payments. So Square, PayPal charges 3.5%. So if you're running a transaction for $200, you lose $6 right away, right? So that's how the small business people are, really struggling to say, why do I want to take card payments? They avoid card payments. Like I had a dog trainer, and I first wanted to train my dog, and I went to her and said, this is a $600 charge to get an AKC certification. So I asked her, can I pay you with my debit card or credit card? She says, no, I can't. I don't do cards. And I asked her why. She said, I'll lose 3%, unless in other words, you're willing to pay the 3%. I've even done with it. So her choice was, you can send me a check before the training starts, or you could Venmo me. And I said, I don't have $600 sitting in my Venmo balance, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to move so much money through it. Can I Zelle you? And she's like, what Zelle? So she had a US bank account and she didn't know what Zelle was. And the problem with Zelle is not a brand that people know. It has to be the bank promoting that. And those are a cheaper way to do it, but that's not the official way to actually collect business-based payments. And Zelle is now actually clamping down on you use Zelle for pure P2P. And in 2022, IRS came out with a rule that said, if you're going to use Venmo or Zelle more than $600, they are now obligated to report that as income. And you have to do all the work to figure out like what part of it is really income or what part of it is really for splitting your dinner bills. So it really becoming complicated for accepting payments, specifically when you're someone who's just starting out. And now Square charges 3%. And if you want to take the money instantly, you have to pay more in order to get that funds. Otherwise, you're waiting on 2-3 days before the funds are actually available to you. Now, if you want to be professional, like I said, if you want to send out an invoice that has some branding, looks an invoice format, there are lots of tools. You could download an app and start using it. It pays $7 a month, or you can go to QuickBooks, and QuickBooks is like a full-blown accounting software. But if you want to just do invoicing, you still have to pay $29-30 a month in order to do that. So bottom line, it's fragmented, it's complicated, and they don't have instant access to funds. And as you know, 70% of the United States is living on a paycheck to paycheck. And these guys are not even paycheck to paycheck. It's job to job, right? It's one task at a time and getting paid to go to the next task at a time to getting paid. So that instant access is another challenge that these guys face. And now you've just signed up for like 5 or 6 different services, and you're trying to put it all together so that your business starts to work more smoothly, right? So there's a lot of integrations. And if you're not tech savvy, it can become very complicated very fast. So that's one of the reasons why we started GigZter as a single solution. So why open 2 accounts with the same information in 2 different places if all you're trying to do is to open a bank account and have a way to accept money? Because you're doing work and you want to actually take payments, why open 2 separate services? So we came up with one option saying we give you a single account, which is a business checking bank account, FDIC insured DDA. And we also underwrite you to be a merchant where you can take your own payments. And better yet, we also make that money instantly available in the account that we provide. So, and we embedded simple experience of, invoicing and receipting inside the same tool. So that's where we thought that we would help the small businesses, where you combine these things into a single service. Now, how we do that? The first thing is it's a single account that enables business checking and payments together. So it comes with a debit card, just like any other bank account of any other banking service provider. And it allows you to actually take payments from that same account. So doing payments is actually, this is where we put a lot of effort to how do we make it simple, right? Yes, if you open a Square account, Square also makes it very simple, but it's a separate account, separate app, separate software. Here, our goal was, if you can send a text from your phone, you should be able to send an invoice. It should not be any more complicated than that. And we said, let's send it as a text or an email. And your end customer shouldn't have to have another Venmo account or a Cash App account. If they can receive a text, and if they have a phone that is connected to the internet, which pretty much every phone does, click on that link and pay with whatever options you have on that phone. So whether it's linking your bank account and paying, or your wallet like Apple Pay or Google Pay or PayPal or credit card, any of them is accessible. And then once the payment is done, the funds go right into that account that you can actually use. So the idea is really to help them. And the biggest difference we also made is we cut the fees in half. So why pay 3% when you don't have to pay that much? And that's one of the biggest reasons why small businesses struggle to take card fees. And even people who are making up to $1 or $2 million are continuously facing the challenge of the higher merchant fees. So we said, we don't want to make money on acceptance. So we give them at cost, which is 1.5% flat. Now, we embedded the experience of sending an invoice branded all inside the text. So as a business owner, when you're sending out that invoice, you're really not trying to create an invoice template and then filling out those pieces and then trying to send it. You're literally sending it through, by sending the text, it gets embedded and it's sent. So there are lots of different solutions, right? So how do we stack across these solutions? So if you think about any small business owner, you start with knowing the business banking. And in the United States, there are about 9,000 financial institutions, leave alone the top 50. And the examples that you see here are all the newer digital banks that enable these types of services. And they're only providing a business checking. Now, if you want to do payment acceptance, take credit card-based payments, yes, you have lots of different options, including PayPal, Square, Stripe, and a lot of different providers enabling those with the terminals. And if you want to do the tools, invoicing, receipting, reminders, tracking, you have a bunch of tools that does that. They all do these things independently. And we also see some people combining the aspect of the tools and the payments together. So some of the services that you see below also enables those things as a way of tools. Yet for a small business, they have to combine and they have to sign up for all these services in order to actually make these things work. So the whole idea is to make it simple for people, rather than having 5 or 8 different fragmented functions and paying a monthly fee on each one of these things and trying to put them together. We give a single unified solution that's all inside an app that combines all of these functions and put it in your fingertips. It's on the go. And we support a lot of integrations that goes along with it. So that's really where we differentiate. And if you are in the small business and if you're not accepting the digital payments and you're still relying on cash and check, yes, you can still get by, but the access to money is going to be as low as how long the checks takes to clear. So in conclusion, where we've been in the market for about 10 months, and we have over 500, 600 accounts, users using the platform. And we're looking to scale, we're looking to grow. And our goal is to really democratize and combine and help the small business owners, whether you're in service, we support many different kinds of services, in people who are mainly in service, trade or therapy, healthcare, professional services. So that's really where our product is actually positioned to help them better. So with that said, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them, and I'm around here for the rest of the day. We also are looking for affiliate partners. So if you are someone who are helping small businesses, you have clients who are small businesses who are doing, taking payments and others, we would love to work with you as an affiliate partner. We have a very compelling program to refer those clients, and then you have a way to actually benefit from that monetarily. So we have that option. So I would love to talk to you guys if you guys are interested in doing that. Any questions, comments? I guess not. I still have 7 minutes, so I'm going to tell a joke. And you guys are now stuck with me for another 5 minutes so that I can tell a joke. This is something you may have heard, but so before I came here, I was playing Scrabble with my second son, and then my dog ate a few of those tiles. And I took the dog to the vet, and I came here, and then I just called the vet to say, "Hey, what's going on?" And he said, "No words yet." And I told him, "Hey, I don't want the dog to play Scrabble. I want the letters out." Clearly, it didn't resonate, but anyway, any questions you guys have, please let me know. If not, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.